As we get started today, people wanted to know how we got from we to me. And actually, it's we to half of me. Because in a marriage, in a relationship, there's three of you. You, your spouse, and God. And that cord binds you together. When one is not there, you still have God, but yet you feel half a person because of that relationship you had. It's so difficult at times to find who you are. You no longer can fuss at each other and go, what are we having for dinner? That's the age-old question. You have to make that up yourself.
I don't know. I think I fussed at David more after he died than I did when he was living. For a little while.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm always, if I can't do something, I go, it's all your fault.
Yeah.
But
Martha, I kind of thought you were going to say the three people were you and me and the unit, we.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because obviously I had some things with my work and so on separate from the unit, but most of it was the we. And so certainly the God is the central foundation, but that unit of the we is the one that was totally missing.
Hard. Yeah. And some of the questions that people wrote in is, I need to know that I'm valued and I don't want to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes even the people who portray themselves as, I don't need anybody. I don't think anybody truly wants to be alone. And
Martha, it's a little bit like how you forget a little bit about childbirth
Yes.
after the fact. But I can say for a fact that going back in the second time, as soon as it started the second time, I'm going, oh, I remember now.
Oh, yes.
That's kind of the same thing. Like, obviously, it's not as intense as it was in the beginning, but even preparing my heart for today, I can begin to get that sense of there isn't a full we, there's just a half of a me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that profound sense of loneliness, it's not being away from people. It's certainly not being away from God, because if anything, I felt myself having to turn to God more. And I wondered, was I wrong for not turning to God often enough in leading up to the death? But you can't go there.
No.
Did you find yourself thinking, am I enough?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
but I'm just saying I can begin to get that sense again, even thinking about the fact that we're going to talk this today.
Yeah. Old things pop up, old feelings. I just think it was just such a shock to relearn to do everything. A different way of thinking, moving through life, different. Tomorrow looks different now. Next week looks totally different now. And it's just a big shock.
And it's the little things that I don't expect.
Yes.
My piano needed to be tuned. And so I talked to Martha to find a person to tune the piano. The one I had before was Gary's client. And we got to know him as a piano tuner because he was Gary's client. So I didn't even know where to contact him on my own. And that's such a minor thing. I can find a piano tuner. That's not an issue.
Right.
But the way that I found the piano tuner is right back to we.
You don't realize how reliant you are on that other person.
Not until those little things pop up.
Small.
And they're unimportant on their own.
Yes.
Totally insignificant on their own.
and do you find yourself, now I'm not as far in as either you, but sometimes coming home and there's things that need to be done. And I think I need to text Mitch. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I've got to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
I have to do it. It's me. It's on me now. Everything.
and you feel tired. It's like you work, whether or not you're working at home or whether or not you're working in an office. Then the evening comes and it's like, my brain is gone.
Yeah.
But, you know, this still has to be done. This has, you know, I got to make sure the bills are paid. You know, I've got to make sure that, you know, the groceries.
And the alternative to that is the nothingness.
Right. Oh, sometimes
And the bills to be paid is better than the nothingness.
You can just sit there but it's true, like late at night when we talk, of course, you know, I'm a talker, but Mitch and I talked all the time. And sometimes the silence is deafening.
And the sense that this is going to go on
Forever.
Yeah. This is it. This is like now.
Poor Biscuit, I talked to him off.
I know I touched on it last time, but the evenings were the worst for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolute worst.
And I find myself, either watching TV, and I'm thinking, and then it's kind of like you face at yourself for sitting down and watching TV. You feel guilty. I need to be doing this, this, and this. But my inner self and my body just wants to sit here in this chair.
But I think those times serve their purpose at first. I really do. At first, I think I've kind of equated grief to kind of like a Band-Aid. It's really important at first. It's important to keep things out, to keep things settled. But after a while, it's time to rip it off because you need something more. That wound needs something that Band-Aid can no longer provide. It needs outside help.
Ooh, that just brought up a point that somewhere in here, I wrote about a Band-Aid. Well, and let's see.
This will be known as the Band-Aid session.
The Band-Aid session. If I can.
And this is a ripping off.
Yeah.
It's another instance. So it's good for us too.
Yes.
It was, talking about the uniqueness of our journeys. It says Psalm 39 verse 14 tells us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and each one of us is very unique. That is the main thing in grief, trying to determine who you are, and each one of us is different.
Yes.
It's not a one-size-fit-all Band-Aid, and we have to rip it off and move forward. After the death of a spouse, we all had marriages with different traits, different personalities, and you want to think of the good things. We know there were bad things, and I know I was, just talking about our life in ministry to this one person. And she said, well, it must have been nice to have a perfect marriage. And I'm like, nobody has a perfect marriage. No. It just, you can choose to think of the happy things. To me that, why dwell on the negative?
It's a whole life skill that works here too.
You really have to, you had a partnership, you worked together, and there were times when you could have killed them.
Yes. Yes.
And times I'm sure they could have killed us.
Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you, Jesus.
We're still here.
And it would have been warranted.
The thing that brings us here that's different from a divorce is that they didn't really choose to leave us.
Right.
And that's the thing that, sometimes you do have time to make your mind up for that fact. Like, was David in hospice? Did he have...
they came to the house, yes, for the last week.
Was Gary in hospice?
We didn't make it that far.
Yeah.
Mitch and I didn't either. It was like, well, the Thursday before he passed away, he got one of the best reports from Duke he had ever had, and they're telling him, you're our unicorn. You're going to be here, through all these different types of therapies. And then Tuesday, hello. You don't have that time, it wasn't your choice.
Duke named a syndrome after him, after Gary, just for the fun of it, because he's getting better. Don't. It's gone.
Yeah. I did have the time, and I'm thankful for that, as painful as it was, because I knew exactly that it was any minute. So, as weird as that sounds, I'm very thankful for that, because I don't like surprises. I never have. I have never liked surprises. I don't. So nothing came as a surprise to me.
But were you totally prepared when it did happen?
I thought
as
it was.
As much as you can be, I guess. Yeah. As much as you can be.
But thankfully, there were those things I didn't know that I needed to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, something just popped in my memory that I saw on Facebook. Today would have been your anniversary.
Yeah. 39 years. Today.
Wow.
We had 30 years together. Very thankful for every second.
And those triggers are hard. I know when my family just had a vacation together, and I thought at the beach, and I thought, I don't know if I can handle this, because the last thing that Mitch said to me before he passed away was, hurry up and get me home. This is so uncomfortable, my rear end. And he was on the gurney. He said, we shouldn't be here, because it was the morning of our 37th anniversary. And he said, I want to get home. I want to rest up. And then I want to take you to the beach for our anniversary delayed. So that, kind of stick. And so, but I was so thankful to be able to see the ocean through my grandson's eyes.
Yeah.
And that made it all
Yeah.
you know, that was a blessing.
Absolutely. To be able to see bits and pieces of your person and those that come after.
Isn't that neat?
It is.
You can just see little characteristics.
Yes.
And it's like, wow.
I have a grandson. Well, I have one grandson and 5 granddaughters, and my grandson is so much like David in a lot of ways. Just quirky, the quirkiness and the, he beats
and things
his
he
own
could not have imitated because he didn't know to imitate.
No, he didn't. He was very young when David passed. So no, nothing that he saw is emulating. It's just, it's there. And I love that. Mm-hmm. I love it. And I tell him all the time, you're a lot. And his name is, my husband was David Allen. My son is David Elliott, and he's David Abel. I said, you are David Pritt for a reason. You really are. So, and I love that.
I bet he carries that proudly.
He does. And I'm thankful for that.